Hey folks, and welcome to CarStarz' 10 cool facts about the Green Hornet's 66 Black Beauty in the 1966 TV series, The Green Hornet. Fact number 1. As per their legendary custom car builder Dean Jeffries, there were two customized 1966 Chrysler Imperial Crown sedans commissioned for use in the show that were built by Dean. Although the main number 1 hero car was the primary car used throughout the show, the number 2 car was more of a backup car that was intended to be used for promotional shows and such. However, it was used in the show for a couple episodes only, one of which you're seeing a clip of now. You may have heard from some sources that George Barris built Black Beauty for the Green Hornet show instead, and while it's true that he built his own interpretation of the car, as you can see here, it was very different and was not the car used in the Green Hornet TV series. The two brand new 66 Imperial Crown sedans underwent a thorough reworking by Jeffries at a cost to the studio of a hefty $50,000. A significant portion of this budget was allocated to the car's elegant 30 coats of metal flake, pure black green pearl of essence lacquer hand-rubbed to a high-gloss paint job. However, it unfortunately proved to be too shiny for filming when they first attempted to do so, which is why we see a makeshift flat black finish on the car in the show that was an afterthought that was applied by the studio so it wouldn't reflect everything in sight like it did before. Dean put in an incredible level of meticulous detail and pure functionality into the two cars that is truly mind-boggling, especially considering all of the many mechanical gadgets on the cars were indeed actually functional from a mechanical practicality standpoint anyway, which we will get into the details of a bit later on. Fact number 2. The Black Beauties are powered by their stock 440 big block V8 engines outputting around 350 gross horsepower at 4,400 RPM and a not too shabby 480 pound-feet of torque, sending the power to a 3-speed automatic torque flight transmission. Impressive for its size, acceleration from 0 to 60 miles per hour took less than 10 seconds, with a top speed approaching the 120 miles per hour mark. The smooth ride made every journey a refined experience suitable for the prestigious Britt Reed, and just wild enough for his mass mischief as the Green Hornet as well. Although the Black Beauty was certainly no lightweight, weighing in around 3 tons with all of the added gadgetry on board, it was plenty enough power to allow the man up front, the super swift Kato, to sling its colossalness around Central City when shaking off the cops or chasing down a baddie. Fact number 3. The second-generation Imperial Crown sedan was one of the most premium production cars available in the American market at the time. Notably, although Chrysler produced, it wasn't badged as a Chrysler, but was designated as its own make, aiming to evoke a more high-class image as the Imperial marquee sought to compete in the upper echelon of automotive luxury against other brands' models such as GM's Cadillac and Ford's Lincoln luxury Focus models. Key manufacturer boasted features included reclaimed 150-year-old Clara walnut inlays, powered vent windows, power door locks, power antenna, power trunk release, and cruise control, all of which contributed to its supreme luxury. Compared to other competitors on the market at the time, the Imperial stood out with its luxurious amenities and distinctive styling, positioning it as a formidable rival to the other luxury brands it competed with. Today, good to excellent condition 1966 Imperial Crown sedans usually sell from around the $10 to $25K mark, or up to around $35K for pristine examples, which is actually not too bad for any decent condition 60s classic car these days, making it quite obtainable to interested parties. Fact number 4. As for the custom modifications that made Black Beauty a worthy gadget-packed car suitable for the Green Hornet's purposes, there were quite a few nifty modifications seen used throughout the show, and there were even more than what we were shown tucked into these modified Imperials, believe it or not. Let's delve into the many unique modifications that Dean handmade for the Black Beauty, beginning with the ones that were actually shown used within the show, and then some others that many folks may not even know were built into the car due to them not being demonstrated in the show. Starting with probably the most well-known feature we saw used multiple times in the show would be the concealable front and rear rockets installed in the front and rear bumpers, and yes, these were indeed real pyrotechnics that could be shot from the car via switches operated by Kato, just as depicted in the show. Another gadget we see used often by Kato is the scanner device, which did actually rise out of the rear deck lid as shown, although it wasn't really a functional flying camera drone as depicted in the show. Sure, this is a commonly seen around technology today, but it was a relatively new idea back then and not technically feasible quite yet in the 60s. Another helpful gadget used often in the show was the front and rear spray devices that could be used for spraying knockout gas or smoke screening. Also, only used once in place of the scanner in one episode, was the Hornet mortar that was the heaviest artillery weapon that the car was depicted having. Then of course there were multiple display screens, audio and communication devices inside the car that we also see used often. Then there were a few other nifty functional gadgets / mechanisms that we never actually got to see in action within the show. One of which was that the headlights can actually be rotated back and forth between the original lamps and the signature infragreen headlights via a switch. Similarly, to throw off the cops and villains even more so, the license plate could also be rotated via switch to flip between the Black Beauty's V194 plates with a standard plate. There were many other subtle unused in the show gadgets in addition to those, but a couple more that I know of at least are the rear deployable brooms to sweep tire tracks, and also a number of secret switches and compartments in the interior that we never got to see in the show either, such as this side weapons compartment in the back for the Green Hornet's weapons storage. Fact number 5. The two cars we see in the Green Hornet's garage for the car rotation scene, which is Britt's everyday 66 Chrysler 300 convertible on one side, and of course the Green Hornet's Black Beauty on the other side, were actually 1/10 scale wooden models custom built by Andy Yanchus of the Aurora Models Company. These models were a project part of a licensing agreement with the production group that granted Aurora Models to be allowed to create and sell a 1/32 scale plastic model kit of Black Beauty, which they did complete, as you can see from the box picture of the production release of the model kit here. Although quite unrealistic, as no one would ever store a car upside down, of course, for several reasons, this garage scene is certainly a memorable one for fans as it just looks so cool and unique. I can only imagine how tough of a project and the skill it would require to create two 1/10 scale model cars like that by hand with wood and make them look so realistic as well. Quite oddly, despite all the time and focus that went into building those two very impressive large model cars for the garage scene, the fate of Andy's custom-built wooden 1/10 scale models is unknown as they disappeared shortly after their last use on the show. Fact number 6. After this short only one-season show ended in '67, the Fox production company kept the two Black Beauty cars from the show for several years, just letting them decay sitting out on their back lot exposed to the elements and thoroughly rusting away for decades. Then in the mid-'80s, the studio sold the hero car to a woman in Santa Monica, California, who just parked it out in her yard, where it sat rotting for yet another decade or so. In 1992, a Green Hornet enthusiast acquired the number 1 hero car for $10,000. He then commissioned Dean Jeffries to restore it. The lesser-used number 2 Black Beauty car was also sold off to the public and was eventually lucky enough to end up in the hands of a Green Hornet enthusiast as well, who also commissioned Dean Jeffries to restore it back to its original condition too, so Dean was able to renew them both, thankfully. Fact number 7. So, where are the two original Black Beauty cars today? Do they still exist, you ask? Well, fortunately, they were both continuously preserved after their respective restorations and are in fact still around today, and one of them you can even go visit. The fully restored back to original condition number 1 Hero Black Beauty car has since been acquired by the Peterson Automotive Museum located in Los Angeles, California, and as you can see here, she still looks amazing despite being restored over 30 years ago now. The number 2 Black Beauty car is also still looking great and is currently privately owned by a very dedicated Green Hornet fan, a Mr. Carl Kirchner of South Carolina, who has owned it for nearly 15 years now. Fact number 8. As for replicas of the original Black Beauty, although you'll occasionally come across some out there with varying degrees of accuracy and functionality, pure and complete replicas are few and far between. Probably due to the Green Hornet show being much lesser known than other more popular shows like Batman, not to mention the high amount of work and cost for such a build. Some folks have built only vaguely reminiscent to Black Beauty replicas by going the custom Restomod route, such as this Pro Touring style replica here, looking only somewhat like Black Beauty, however far from an original replication of course, but still a quite interesting creation nonetheless. There are a few very dedicated fans out there though who do go the full distance by making accurate replications of the original Black Beauty, such as this very fine example here. Most would be hard-pressed to even be able to tell this replica apart from the originals, so kudos goes to the mega fan by the name of Darren Monteverde, who commissioned the build of this excellent recreation. Another excellent replica would be this one here that was actually built by a different famous car builder, Dick Dean. This very nice replica is currently owned by the Cars Against Crime Foundation, which is a non-profit organization that brings movie and TV cars to events in the Minneapolis/St. Paul 7 County metro area. Fact number 9. As for seeing Black Beauty and other productions beyond the short-lived Green Hornet TV show itself, Black Beauty did make one very brief cameo in the other Crime Fighters TV show, that of course being Batman. In the Season 2, Episode 51 of Batman entitled A Piece of the Action, which was part 1 of the 2-part Batman/Green Hornet crossover episodes, we get this one and only quick glimpse of Black Beauty as it pulls up to a curb just after the Batmobile pulls away from the same spot. In addition to the world of the small screen, we also received a somewhat modern take of Black Beauty on the big screen in the 2011 Green Hornet film as well. The movie took this built-for-crime fighting ride to an even higher level of combat with the addition of pop-up hood machine guns and a more deadly version of everything else too, as this is quite a ferocious war machine interpretation. If you folks would like to see a dedicated video covering this quite different movie version of Black Beauty, please let me know in the comments below. Fact number 10. Looking into the much more affordable scale model world, despite Green Hornet being such a brief TV show, the Black Beauty made a big enough of an impression on viewers to generate interest that has spurred multiple model car brands to make scale models available over the years, and some still are today, 58 years later. The cream of the crop in die-cast model options would be this excellently detailed 1/18th scale example here from the brand called AutoArt. As you can see, no detail was left out and even all of the gadgets are present and look exquisite to say the least. This model is still available on the current retail market and typically is priced around the $200 mark. If you prefer to build your own detailed Black Beauty and save several bucks in the process, the best model kit available on the current retail market is this very nice 1/25th scale plastic model kit from AMT, which typically runs around $35. I will put links in the description below for both of the premium models mentioned today to where you can purchase them for anyone interested. And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, I also have my own diecast car channel named Show and Tell Diecast that I display and detail my diecast models that I add videos to also. I will include a link to the diecast channel in the video description below for those interested. Well, there you have it folks. Thanks for watching and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw here. You guys are all great. See you next time.